So we are back with part 2 on optimizing RF. And we talked about how you might need to get, and actually I would say you need to get a antenna combiner. RF venue is our favorite. And I would say they're the industry standard now. So instead of having a farm of all these antennas crossing each other and causing all kinds of interference, we now have them all being subbed into one antenna, which actually is optimal.
Yeah.
So it confuses people because they're like, well, I thought if all the antennas were close together, it was a problem. Well, the thing is, this antenna has been purposely built so that we can send all the frequencies up the one antenna. But let's say you're in a really RF dense area. We talked in our last podcast about how that could be due to cell phone towers, or if you're a pastor and you bring your phone on stage and you have T-Mobile, you're literally carrying an RF killer in your pocket.
Yes.
Like, leave your phone off stage or change your cell provider.
Yep.
None of our guys run T-Mobile for that reason. It would just be dumb for us to carry this interference tool in. But if you're in a really deep area, just going to an RF combiner might not be enough.
Sure.
Sometimes it's really dense. And you have to know that there can be other things that can actually interfere. We see this in digital video all the time. Light fixtures put off an RF emission.
Sure.
That can mess
light
with
fixtures, anything
computerized.
Yeah, anything electronic, really.
And if you're an unlucky person who happens to still own 2.4 gigahertz microphones, they're kind of a thing of the past, as they should be. But if you've never looked at your wireless mic, do it. There's a lot of information.
You could potentially be running something illegal, which sounds scary, but
just means you're going to get a lot of interference.
Just means that just means that it's been sold off. Like we talked about T-Mobile, they're in the 600 band range, and after I don't know how many years it's been, 3 or 4 years it's been illegal to use 600.
I think it's been
or maybe longer than that.
It's everything over 608.
Sure. Okay.
Is the cutoff.
So if you're having interference with your mics, first thing I would do is I would look at the microphone, or just look at it and see, and it'll show you what it operates in.
Range. Yep. It's going to say a range. If it says 600 to 640, that's pretty much in the illegal range.
Yeah.
You've got a few hertz at the bottom, but again, T-Mobile's starting to infringe on that space. You're going to be in trouble. And then they used to do 2.4 gigahertz, which was cool back before Wi-Fi routers became so dense. So if you've ever set up a Wi-Fi router, you know that 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz are the main frequencies that your Wi-Fi router uses. So now your wireless mic is not just fighting against 1 or 2 interference issues, because a couple hundred people just walked into your church with cell phones in their pocket.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you have 2.4 gigahertz microphones, you probably need to get rid of them. I mean, it's just not going to, and that goes for illegal too. Illegal, not in that I don't think they're going to come kick your door down and arrest you.
The cops, there's no like RF cops that are going to come.
But you're going to have nothing but headaches. You're going to always have interference and never a good signal.
Yep.
So if you've done all this, you've checked it, you've done due diligence, you did your scan. Now you need to know what frequencies in your room are the most optimal. We have churches ask us all the time, hey, is there some special tool that you can bring in to scan the RF in my area?
Is there a special tool?
There is. There's actually, it's very expensive though.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
But is there a cheaper special tool?
There is, yeah. So you don't need to go pay some company thousands of dollars to come in and scan your area, because there's an RF scanner built into every wireless mic sold on the market today. It's phenomenal. Typically, they put it under the auto tune feature or auto scan or scan. It's going to be some sort of verbiage like that. They all work a little differently, but if you go look at your microphone's manual, it's going to tell you how to scan for frequencies. I know back in the old analog days, which, sorry, I don't want to confuse anyone, all RF is still analog, but the audio signals used to be analog, and now they're mostly digital. But in the older days, those units would typically scan, and they would give you banks. The Sennheiser did that a lot. So it would say bank 17 has 11 channels open and bank 23 has 5 channels open. Usually went and looked for whatever bank might have had the most space in it. But on modern receivers, sometimes the auto scan will just give you the next open channel.
Sure.
That's fine too.
Sure.
So yeah, we highly encourage you to run it. And the way that we do it is we always start with everything turned off. All your wireless is turned off. You turn your first mic on, first receiver on, auto scan. It finds the first available frequency, and you lock it in with the mic, and then you leave those on. Turn your second one on, do the same thing. Once you've done all your wireless mics, leave them on and use the same function on your in-ear packs.
Mm-hmm. Keep
leaving everything on as you scan. And everything should stack fairly close together. Like your first channel might be 518, and your next channel might be 518.5, and then your next channel might be 521. It might jump a few hundred or something. That's never a problem. As long as they're stacking up fairly close together. You do want to avoid having your RF like radically far apart, like 519, 535, 599 or whatever. Just because, remember, it's all radio transmitters. They're creating these things called intermodulations and all that stuff. We don't want to bore you with all that stuff, but you're going to want to auto scan. Now, if you've done all these things and you're still fighting interference, the last ditch effort that most RF guys will go to are these little inline filters. RF Venue makes them, and that's who we would buy them from. And basically, what this filter does is it's going to narrow this down even further. And it's going to say, we're only going to let frequencies from 520 to 525 or whatever the range is come into this antenna, and everything else is going to get rejected.
Yeah.
And then we'll tune our wireless mics into that little range. That's a great way if you're just in a super busy place and you cannot get away from it. Buying an inline filter is really important, but you want to work with a manufacturer like RFNU to buy the right one and know your cable lengths and everything, because that all plays into it.
Yeah.